this from happening again?
Well, David, it's fair to say that these types of shootings are becoming chronic, persistent. Just this year alone, you had the shooting at the Colorado movie theater. You had the shooting at the Sikh temple. Really, since Virginia Tech in 2007, we've had mass shootings like this on a pretty regular basis in which 3 or more people have been killed. And we're talking literally hundreds of people. So I think the president was getting at the notion of whether there's going to be additional gun control measures. There's been a spike in gun sales in the last month or so. In fact, the day after Thanksgiving, the FBI recorded the most background checks ever in the history of the country in terms of handgun sales and rifle sales. And many people think that's because people were concerned that additional gun control measures are coming.
Yeah, and so many people just want to find common ground on this issue in this country, feeling so strongly about the right to bear arms, but at the same time, the right as a parent to protect these schools.
And David?
Yeah, go ahead, Pierre.
One thing I would add is that, look, this is a very complicated problem. There are some estimates that there are over 300 million guns already in circulation. So if you stop selling them tomorrow, this problem would not go away. As one source told.
All right, welcome back once again. Joe Shirt's Off the Cuff. Checking in there with ABC News again there. As you heard the reporter speaking, welcome back. I am Joe the Shirt, and this is my show, Off the Cuff. Thank you for listening. As reporters were just discussing, they used an interesting word, chronic. That these mass shootings, these mass murders are becoming chronic. Now, what does the term chronic mean? Now, from what I understand, chronic means that something that happens all the time, something that's persistent. And I don't think that's true in this case. I don't think that these shootings are in fact chronic. You know, it's not like one happens every day or every week or even every month. But it happens enough that we know about it. Actually, I'm going to look up the word chronic right here. Got my dictionary. Yes, a dictionary, not Wikipedia or anything like that. I'm actually using a real, honest goodness dictionary that I stole from my old boss's office. Alright, let's see here. Chronic. Here we go. Chronic. Marked by long duration or frequent recurrence. So it's something that happens all the time, or a lot of the time. Alright. And while I'm hesitant to use the term, it happens all the time, chronic, or it happens a lot. It really doesn't. But because we're talking about a crime that's so big, so monumental, something that you just find so much difficulty wrapping your brain around it, and worse yet, you don't understand a reason for it. As I said in my earlier show, my girlfriend likes to say that if I ever get to the point in my life where I understand that kind of thinking, kill me. But there are people in this world that are paid damn good money to get to understand this type of thinking. Not to say relate to it, not to justify it, but to understand the logic in somebody else's head. Psychiatrists, criminal profilers, people that hunt serial killers. These people, they're paid good money to figure out how psychos think, how nuts think, what makes sense to them. And this is something that law enforcement will be looking into, but most likely something that most of us are not going to remember. Okay, here's a really quick pop quiz for you guys. What was the name of the guy that shot all those kids today? No? Nothing? Ryan Lanza. He shot his mother. And let's face fact, even right now, I'm ashamed to say it, I can't think of the guy that shot all those people in Colorado. Something Holmes, I believe. That's it. I did like 2 shows on this guy, you know, and his crimes. And even now, right, and I cannot remember his name, his full name. I remember what he did. And that's part of the point of what I'm talking about here is that a lot of people that do these kind of crimes, they do it because they want to make a spectacle. They want people to see it and gasp and think about it and talk about it, just like we're doing right now, okay? And they want to be remembered. But that's the part that they don't get. They don't get remembered. They won't be remembered, all right? You know who gets remembered? The ones that get caught. They get remembered. People like this guy who killed himself in a few weeks, a few months, a couple of years, whatever, we're not going to remember his name. Why? Because he's dead. I mean, you remember names like John Wayne Gacy. You know, you remember names like, oh, of course, now I can't remember names. But you know what I'm talking about. You remember names of people that lived for a while. You know, Jeffrey Dahmer. You know, you remember those kind of names. You know, Charles Manson. You know, these are the names of people that did horrible, horrible, ugly things, but lived, and they got caught, and thus they were remembered, or even better yet, the people who did these crimes and didn't get caught, like the Alphabet Killer. You know, never caught. Suspicions of who he might have been, but never caught. So, you know, like I said, these are not criminal. The people that get caught, people that shoot themselves, are not criminal masterminds. You know, people that that do these type of things and get caught quickly, not criminal masterminds. Okay, they're not Lex Luthor. Okay, they're not the Joker or anything like that. These are pretty much everyday average idiots. They get an idea in their head one day and decide to go with it. Now, this is the worst school shooting since the 1999 Columbine incident, where you had 13 people killed and several injured, I think 24 injured. This particular shooting so far is only exceeded by the Virginia Tech shooting in 2007, where 32 people were killed, and then the gunman shot and killed himself. Now, this might exceed that because there's when you're talking about 27 dead, there's usually a lot more injured to go along with that. You know, most of these nuts, when they go off on a killing spree, they're typically not known for being really great shots. They just like to spray. So, and then people die later. So we don't know what's going on here with this one. That's Ryan Lanza. Now people are beginning to wonder whether or not there was a second gunman. Authorities are questioning that. They're not entirely sure that Ryan was not acting alone. It could be that he was. I mean, there's one thing that's absolutely true among police is that witness IDs, witness testimonies are very, very, very unreliable. A lot of people, they will tell you they saw something when in fact they didn't. Classic example of this was a little experiment they did in a college, criminal justice school class, where they had a bunch of people in an auditorium, and a guy comes out and mugs a woman on stage. You know, it's a little test. You know, takes out a gun, points it at her, demands money, grabs the money, and then runs away. And then people were asked in the audience, what did you see? And everybody said, well, some guy came up to this woman, pointed a gun at her, demanded money, took it, and ran away. When in fact, the guy walked up to the woman, pointed a yellow banana at her, demanded money, and ran away. But there you go. People a lot of times will see what they want to see what they think they should see. So yeah, eyewitness testimony, very, very, very unreliable. Can't so it could be that this was just one nut. I mean, you have to admit, if you decide that you're going to go to your mother's job, which happens to be a grade school, you're going to shoot her and a bunch of kids, it's going to be tough to convince somebody else to come along. You you can't convince somebody like even give you a ride on that one. But let's say we check in with what's going on. Give us a little update, all right? Hold on. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back.
And answering a lot of those questions, the manner and cause of death of all of the deceased. That's it. 26 deceased. One injured. One person was injured. Yes. I'm sorry? They're in one section or one area of the school. That's the best I can do on that answer. I don't know specifically how many rooms were involved. I was told that there were 2, but in one section of the school building. Everyone was in that same section of the building. Not to be determined, sir. A section of the building is as far as we want to go.
Did you already say how the shooter died?
We did not. We did not. That's to be determined once the postmortem examinations are complete. I'm sorry? 20 children, six adults, and the shooter. 27 total. That's correct. That's at the school itself. And then there's one more, as we just said, at a secondary crime scene. There's a deceased adult at the secondary crime scene. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, we were just listening to what appears to be local sheriff of Newtown, Connecticut. Grand total of 27 deceased at the location at the school. 6 adults, 20 children. Gotta wrap your mind around that one. 20, and the shooter himself. And what they also found out was that there was a dead body found at Ryan Lanza's, that's the shooter, Ryan Lanza's home. They haven't not identified that body yet, but somebody else is dead. And so grand total of 28 people dead, including the shooter. Most likely 27 by the shooter's hand. And apparently a couple sent to a local hospital with injuries. Don't know exactly how many there. They're anywhere between 2 and 3 is what they're giving us. Welcome back once again to Joe the Shirt's Off the Cuff. Talking about the massacre over in Newtown, Connecticut, with 28 dead, including the shooter. Of course, not like we care about him. Actually, in that circumstance, and I think a lot of you might agree with me on this one. In that circumstance, this situation, I'm a little disappointed he's dead, because I would have loved for him to go through the U.S. Justice system and more importantly the U.S. penal system, where child killers are not loved by anybody. That's a situation where we want to see this guy punished. We want to see this guy hurt. The fact that he's dead makes you feel cheated. It makes you feel as if, we are never going to get our pound of flesh. And we're not. And even if he did live and we tortured him, we're never going to get back what we lost, what these people lost. We're talking about 27 dead people that this guy killed. 7 adults, 20 children, and their pain is over. As I've said many times about the dead, I've often said, don't mourn for the dead. Their pain is done. But those of us who have to live afterwards and deal with the fact that they're not here anymore, that they died in such a violent and ugly way, that they were so young, that they were innocent, that they've got nothing coming up. To quote yet another movie, Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood says, it's a hell of a thing killing a man. You take away everything he's ever been and everything he's ever gonna be. That's it's a paraphrase, maybe not a quote, but you get the idea. I mean, these kids have nothing. They got nothing left. You know, these kids have nothing left. Their parents have got to carry this burden for the rest of their lives. And all the logic on the planet will never make them feel better. This is Newtown, Connecticut, for God's sakes. It's not it's not the Bronx, New York, where I grew up. You know, it's not Compton here in Los Angeles. You know, it's none of that. It's Newtown, Connecticut. You think you move to a nice neighborhood in a nice state. I mean, Connecticut's one of the nicest states I've ever heard of. I mean, you don't hear a lot of shit out of Connecticut, do you? You don't. But so when something like this happens in a place like this, people take it especially hard because people try to go out of their way to make believe that they're safe, that they're insulated from the ugliness of the world. And they're not, and this keeps being a reminder of that, you know. Like Columbine, like the nutcase in Colorado, you know. Right here in Los Angeles, about 10 years ago, maybe more, there was a nut that opened fire at a Jewish school, elementary school children, small itty bitty little kids. And he just opened fire on them. He was an anti-Semite. He decided, I'm going to kill a bunch of Jewish kids. You know? And this was in a very nice neighborhood here in Los Angeles. It wasn't Compton, you know. It wasn't downtown. It wasn't Hollywood, you know. It was a very nice upscale neighborhood. Very nice school. Big lawn, gated, security. A very pretty place, and this guy was able to get on the property and just open fire. Yeah, we try to make believe that we're safe. We try to make believe that we can protect our children, but you can't. You can't protect your kids from everything. You know, got this here. The shooter, Ryan Lanza, whose home they found a dead body in. They haven't identified the body yet. Walked into the school with 4 weapons, not described yet, and wearing a bulletproof vest, as if, you know, 4th graders are packing MAC-10s with them. But what was heard, again, excuse the levity, but I have to do something to get myself through this, or else I'm going to start to tear up again. All right, so please don't think me insensitive. I just have to find a way to get through this. Well, according to one report, a teacher reported that one of the kids said this, quote, "I just want Christmas. I don't want to die. I just want to have Christmas." You know, and that's what's on everybody's mind right now, isn't it? Christmas. That's what's coming up. About, was it a week and a half now? In a week and a half, we're supposed to have Christmas. You know, we're kids. Go down a fucking tree and open up fucking presents. And go, thanks, Mom, and thanks, Santa Claus, and thanks, Dad. And this isn't what I wanted. Who the fuck said I wanted underwear again, Grandma? You know, that's what's supposed to happen. You know, these kids, you know, they had the right to be pissed off at Christmas with a bunch of gifts that they didn't ask for or wanted. Or they got the stuff they wanted. They got the newest video game. They got that new fucking bicycle. And they're not this year. And that's wrong. It's fucking wrong is what it is. Sorry, doing it again. Look, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. Don't believe in Jesus. Don't believe in Allah or Muhammad. I don't believe in Jehovah or whatever but I don't believe in the devil either. I mean, I don't believe in any of that shit. But you know what? I love Christmas. I do. I'm in my place right now. We got fucking like a zillion lights all around the place. We got the fucking tree there. There's presents underneath it. I got presents wrapped up for the fucking dog. All right? He doesn't know it's Christmas. He doesn't know what day it is. He doesn't know what time it is. He's looking at me now like I've lost my mind. But there are presents there for him. Just don't tell him. But we got him a new collar. We got him a new mat for his food bowls. And we're getting him a jar of dried duck jerky. Yeah, we got presents for the dog. Because we like giving presents. We like having fun. We like feeling as if the world's a little nicer this time of year. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick break here. More with the news. I'm Joe the Shirt, and I'm off the cuff. I'll be right back.
To see the carnage that was around them. But what they do remember are the teachers. The teachers who, when they heard gunfire, David, put these kids in protected places, stayed their ground. They told them stories, played games. In the midst of this madness that they were hearing, they kept their cool and they got their kids out. And in a situation that is almost unbelievably horrible, it is amazing what these teachers did in those moments to get these kids out. It is one of those situations where, as terrible as it is, and it is almost unmitigatable in its horror, it could have been worse with the weaponry and ammunition Pierre's been telling us about that was brought by land into the school. But to look into these little kids' eyes into the school, but to look into these little kids' eyes and hear them tell you what they heard, that they was, and that they were taken to safety really brings home how horrible this was because of who was targeted. And it's a day that this community is never going to forget. So close to Christmas, this little girl, Ella, first, like my son Mario, just told me that she went to school this morning worried about her Christmas list. Was it too long? And then, just a few minutes after she arrived, her day became what we now know is one of the worst in our country's history.
That's the thing, Chris. So many of these children were hoping just to get through these last couple of weeks from school with that internal countdown in their head, knowing just how many days until Santa arrives and you drive that point home. We heard, I'm not sure if you were with us earlier, Chris, but we talked about a first grade teacher, and we're going to hear about so many of these teachers who turn out to be just extraordinarily brave individuals who should be applauded for their work every day in classrooms across America, but particularly on a day like today, who told reporters at the scene that the kids were being so good, they simply asked, can we go see if anyone else is out there? They were worried about their friends. And one student said, I just want Christmas. I don't want to die. I just want to have Christmas. And that first grade teacher responded, you're going to have Christmas and Hanukkah. And she said, I was just determined to stay positive, as she locked her kids in that bathroom, that first grade bathroom, and then they got out.
Okay, we're back. Joe the Shirt's off the cuff, and we are back. We were just listening in. It's great. They actually just used the exact same quote I used. I guess one of the few good things that you can take from this, and I know you're thinking, what good is there? 20 dead kids, 7 others, adults, dead. I mean, what good is there? Well, you just heard the good in this. And that was that the teachers at the school kept their shit together. They kept their shit together, and they protected the kids as best they could. They kept them safe. They kept them calm. They locked doors. They did whatever they could to keep the kids safe. I mean, yeah, they didn't jump out and take a bullet. They didn't go out there and wrestle the guy down to the ground. But you know what? That's not their job. They're school teachers. They're elementary school teachers, all right? The average school teacher is not Steven Seagal in those shitty 80s movies, okay? Average school teacher is like the lady across the street from you, the lady you see at the 5 and Dime or whatever they even still do, the 99-cent store, or the little guy with the glasses. That's your average school teacher. And they did what they could. They had their class of students, and they kept them safe. They weren't about to go out there and wrestle this guy to the ground. But you know what? They kept their shit. And because they kept their shit together, these kids are most likely alive and safe now. and it was brutal because a lot of from what I'm hearing, a lot of these kids wanted to go out and check on their friends in other classes. You know, what are you supposed to tell them then? You know. Sorry, doing it again. As reports come in, I will be taking notes and I will be relating them to you as best I can. I don't know if I'm going to do another show because like I said, I'm getting kind of verklempt. I do have other things I need to get on today. Maybe I'll do another show later and update you guys. I'm not sure exactly yet. And in case you were wondering, yes, these things do tend to happen more often around the holidays. One of the biggest spikes in suicides in this country is the holidays. People start to feel lonely, alone, rejected, forgotten. And part of it, you can blame a little bit on the holidays themselves because, when the holidays come along, everybody's expected to be cheery and happy and embraced by love and family and goodwill and all that shit. And you know what else goes up? Crime rates. Crime rates go up nice and big around the holidays. People out there spending money, buying expensive presents. I mean, me and my girlfriend, for each other this year, we got each other, small things. But there's one particular big ticket item that we're planning on going out and getting together for us. Not for her, not for me, but for us. We're getting. And, we're going to do our normal thing. We're going to go to Vegas. Most of their family is dead. Mine's a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses, so, they're a drag during the holidays. We're going to go to Vegas, and we're going to we're going to have a good time. We're going to gamble and drink too much, and, just have a good time. Maybe catch a show. She's been promising me that we'll get to see Penn and Teller someday. But I think it might be dark that week, actually. But, like I said, people are out there spending money, putting money out. And so crime rates go up, both in, robberies, muggings, assaults, batteries, and in cases like this where people lose their shit because they cannot handle all the happiness and joy around them. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds weird. And it is crazy and weird. And that is what happens. People just lose their shit. They can't handle the holidays. They can't, and believe me, a lot of people get depressed during the holidays, especially when you're by yourself. Or when you happen to be the only Jewish kid in town without a Christmas tree. Thank you, Matt and Trey. Or when I was a kid, and my mother's a Jehovah's Witness, believe me, when you're a Jehovah's Witness, you would give your left eyeball for a Hanukkah present. Trust me. I'd love a dreidel. When I was 9 years old, I would have loved a fucking dreidel. At least it would have been something. All my other friends getting fucking trees and wreaths and gifts and toys and shit. And I'm getting nothing. But that is better than what 20 kids in Newtown, Connecticut got this year. And so I'm gonna take a break here. Maybe grab some lunch. I'm not gonna go out saying that my prayers are with these people because I don't pray. But my thoughts are with them. My condolences are with them, and my heart does go out to them and to you out there who have children of your own in that particular age range, who are just thanking whatever God it is you pray to that it wasn't yours. And if you happen to be a friend of mine, I'm especially glad. If you happen to be a relative of mine, I'm especially glad that it wasn't one of ours. You guys take care of yourselves. I'm Joe the Shirt, and I'm off the cuff.
Walked in with at least 4 weapons. There was one mother who said, he was masked, although we will not know that, of course, until the hours that follow here when we get a slightly better description, though it's already horrific enough. That he stood at the doorway, and we don't know if he actually entered the classroom. But here are the numbers as they were laid out just moments ago by Connecticut authorities, that there were 18 children who died at the scene. 18, unfathomable. 2 children were then rushed to area hospitals. They've been shot as well and then died at area hospitals. So that brings you to 20 children who were killed today at that elementary school in Connecticut. 6 adults also killed at the scene. That brings you to 26, and we've been hearing that number at least 27 all day, and that's where we get to the additional adult at another scene there in Newtown, Connecticut. They wouldn't tell us what the scene is or perhaps the relationship with that additional adult. So at least 27 people dead. And then you add the gunman, and what's not clear, authorities making it clear to all of us in that press conference just moments ago, they don't know whether or not at this point he took his own life or whether authorities had already arrived at the scene. And as we learn more about this particular suspect, you heard Jen Ashton say here a moment ago on the desk that this is mental illness. And there's a lot of talk about gun control in this country, but there will be a lot of talk about mental illness, how we reach out to people who need help earlier, much earlier than something like this can then unfold. And I wanted to bring in Brad Garrett, an FBI profiler. He's an ABC News analyst, and we turn to Brad in times like these to try to wrap our heads around why